Please consider using a professional home theater installer before beginning installation. Installation requires cutting into your ceiling. Improper installation can cause physical damage to your home and body. Beware not to cut any load-bearing supports, water, or electric lines. In-ceiling electric screen installation tutorial. Some of the contents you will find in the box include plastic covers, mounting brackets, the mounting hardware, threaded rods, the adjustment hex tool, and the wiring for the infrared sensors. First, we need a measurement of the length of the screen, including the plastic coverings. We use that measurement minus 3/4 of an inch to cut our hole. The other dimension of the hole will be 5.5 inches. Once you have your measurements, write them down. My length was 123 1/4 inches. The hole will be 3/4 of an inch smaller. Each house is different. I decided to center the screen on the ceiling by subtracting the length of the hole from the distance between the walls and dividing that by 2. I'm placing this screen 6 inches away from where the wall would be. I'm also marking 12 3/4 inches away from the sidewalls. I used a chalk line to mark where the first side will be cut. I also used a square to mark both short sides. Using a chalk line again, I mark 5.5 inches from the first side. Now I have my hole properly marked. Remember to measure twice and cut only once. My hole will be 122.5 inches by 5.5 inches. We're ready to cut. Use a drywall saw, razor, or a roto zip, as long as you make little to no deviation from our marked line. On the first 3 sides, I used a drywall saw. The last side, I used a razor to cut the paper, bent and broke the drywall, and then cut the paper on the opposite side. Now to find where to put the mounts. Take the first measurement and subtract 4.5 inches. In my case, I have 118 3/4. Write that down. That's the distance between the mounts. Attaching the mounts to the screen is very straightforward. Slide the bolts in. Place the mounts over the bolts and secure with the nuts. Tighten the nuts with a wrench. The other dimension for the placement of the mount is half the width of our hole. We mark 2 3/4 inches plus the distance from the rear wall. For me, that was 8 3/4 inches. There are no studs that I can screw into, and that might be the case for you, so I'm making a stud to screw into the existing supports. If you need the wall anchors, you should use them. I'm not, since I'm screwing straight into the wood. The large mounting nut fits snugly into the top mount. Once we slide it in, scoot it to the hole we need to screw it into, and screw in one of our threaded rods. If you are installing into anything but your attic, you will have a difficult time with this part. You need to attach the stud to the supports above the ceiling. Installing between a first and second floor requires you to reach in from the hole we cut. We need to cut the threaded rod so it's just shy of the drywall. Eyeball it, mark it, and unscrew it. Use a saw with a metal cutting blade. Use all safety precautions with whatever cutting method you choose. Screw the rod back in. Attach both studs the same distance apart as the mounts on the screen. Length of the screen minus 4.5 inches. Make sure you mount the screen facing the right way. The IR hookups will always be on the left of the audience. We recommend teamwork when finally mounting the casing. Put the rod through the desired hole and twist the nut on to hold it. Lift the screen until the face plating is flush with the ceiling and hand tighten the nut. That is probably sufficient, but you can also use a wrench if you find that useful. We recommend you seek out a local electrician for proper wiring for safety and proper code installation. Attach the plastic covers on each side. You should be able to move the screen slightly until the plating covers the entire hole. The infrared hookups should already be attached and don't need to be detached. The IR sensor is just a 3.5mm jack that plugs into the far right plug. The center plug is for a trigger, for trigger-enabled projectors. The far left plug is for RS-232 external controls, such as wall switches. That's all for mounting. Next I'll show you how to adjust the screen's height. Again, please consider seeking out a Pro AV installer. When adjusting the limits, you're liable to damage the screen and motor. Adjusting the screen improperly will void out the warranty. This is the adjustment hex tool. On the left end of the screen is a hole giving access to the limit screws. The limit screw nearest the wall adjusts the height of the screen in the up position. The far limit screw adjusts the height in the down position. To adjust the height in the down position, unroll the screen all the way and twist the limit screw towards the plus to lower and towards the minus to heighten. Likewise, to adjust in the up position, roll up the screen all the way. If it stops when it's flush with the ceiling, do not adjust. If it stopped short, simply turn the limit screws toward the plus until it is flush. You should be set to enjoy your in-ceiling electric screen from Silver Ticket Products. For questions or concerns, please visit silverticketproducts.com/support or scan the QR code. Please consider using a professional home theater installer before beginning installation. Installation requires cutting into your ceiling. Improper installation can cause physical damage to your home and body. Beware not to cut any load-bearing supports, water, or electric lines. In-ceiling electric screen installation tutorial.